Alyssa doesn't need it, she's doing fine. Boise, sun beat on the minivan. My stomach dropped. Fine, 10 years of silence, a design contract, university expansion. Stable, Lake Washington condo. $380,000, brother's new car, sister's vacation, while reading, fine. Inside I was screaming, outside composed. But has anyone felt used like this? Subscribe for the catharsis of watching Alyssa flip the script. Trust me, what happens next? Unreal. It started innocently enough back in 2013. My brother Mark received a brand new Mustang for his 25th birthday, complete with a roaring engine and gleaming chrome. I got a used laptop, its screen perpetually flickering, supposedly to help with my business. The contrast stung. I wanted to be happy for him, but the unspoken message was clear. Mark was valued, his desires indulged. I was merely practical, a tool for their convenience. It's what you need, Alyssa, my mother had said, her voice laced with a saccharine sweetness that now curdled my stomach. Then there was the family vacation to Hawaii in 2017. Everyone went except me. I was deemed too busy with work, even though I had offered to help cover the costs. Instead, my sister, Sarah, paraded sun-kissed selfies all over Instagram. "Wish you were here," the caption read, dripping with faux sincerity. I stared at the turquoise water, imagining myself there, free from the suffocating weight of their expectations. It was a visual reminder of my exclusion, a vacation funded in part by my silent contributions. "So when can we expect to see you, dear?" my mother once called to ask with a false sweet tone. I declined because of work. "Oh, you're always working, we understand." They never did. The final straw came last Christmas. I'd painstakingly chosen a hand-crafted wooden toy for my niece, Macy, something unique and educational. Sarah, however, gave her a giant, plastic, battery-operated monstrosity that blared obnoxious tunes. Macy, predictably, gravitated towards the flashing lights and loud noises. My mother, seeing my crestfallen face, simply shrugged. "Well, dear, kids like what they like." The dismissal was a tiny pinprick, but it popped the balloon of hope I'd been clinging to. It was like a knife to the heart. So this is what I'm worth to this family. Later that night, spreadsheets open on my computer, numbers bled into one another. The truth was stark, undeniable. They saw me not as a sister, a daughter, an aunt, but as an ATM, a bottomless well of funds. I remember one particularly difficult winter in Seattle, pre-condo. I was crashing in a tiny, unheated studio apartment. The radiator clanked all night, yet provided no warmth. Condensation dripped down the single-paned windows, forming icy patterns on the glass. I wrapped myself in layers of blankets, my fingers numb as I worked late into the night, desperately trying to meet a deadline. The dampness seeped into my bones, exacerbating my cough. The constant chill was a gnawing companion. No comfort, no reprieve, no end in sight, but I kept building. My first milestone, landing the university design contract. That was a turning point, the project that put aesthetic spaces on the map. I poured every ounce of my energy into it, working tirelessly, fueled by coffee and sheer determination. The satisfaction of seeing my vision come to life, of creating a space that fostered learning and collaboration, was exhilarating. I won that contract through grit, focus, and creativity. No connections, no inheritance, no favors. Another moment, purchasing the Lake Washington condo. It was more than just a place to live, it was a symbol of my independence, a tangible representation of my hard work. The view was spectacular, a panorama of shimmering water and snow-capped mountains. It was a sanctuary. Silence was strategic. I'd sit on the balcony, sipping my coffee, watching the sunrise, and feeling a sense of peace I hadn't known was possible. Then, securing the library design project. That was huge. The library in Tacoma was a pivotal moment. The prestige, the visibility, solidified my reputation as a leading designer. That contract was the ultimate verification of my capabilities. The news was never shared with my family. My strategic silence was not born of shame, but of self-preservation. I had learned that sharing my success only invited further exploitation. The more I achieved, the more they expected. So I cultivated an image of doing okay, a carefully constructed facade that shielded me from their insatiable demands. The contrast between my growing success and their continued dismissal was a constant source of both frustration and grim satisfaction. I wouldn't be their victim any longer. Imagine that phone call with my sister after a local design magazine featured my latest school project. Her casual tone was so dismissive. Oh, that's nice, Alyssa. Listen about mom's medical bills. The potential revelation was right there, hanging in the air, but she was too blinded by her own needs to see the truth. It was a near miss, a close call, a narrow escape. I vowed to keep it that way. My success would be my secret, my shield, my silent weapon. A text buzzes. Mom's B-Day. Saturday, Boise be there, panic flared. 5 years, I haven't seen them. It felt like walking into a lion's den. But I knew something had to change. I would go, but not as Alyssa, the doormat. Strategic prep commenced. A therapist appointment. Firm boundaries set. No money talk, gray rock. I visualized success. Saturday arrived, a sweltering Boise afternoon. My family's home looked exactly the same. Faded paint, overgrown lawn, status stagnant. Inside, the scent of pot roast assaulted me, a cacophony of voices. My siblings, older, heavier, still radiating entitlement. Mark boasting about his new boat. Sarah flashing designer bags, oblivious. Alyssa, you made it. My mother's hug felt suffocating. You look good, dear. Past, frumpy clothes, stressed face. Present, tailored dress, calm demeanor. A subtle power shift they wouldn't notice. Just doing okay, Mom. I smiled, a practiced, brittle thing. The dinner table groaned with food. Same old stories, same old digs, but this time I didn't flinch. I observed, I listened, I planned. Mark winked. So, Alyssa, still single? Sarah snickered. Maybe she's too busy working. I raised my glass. Actually, I'm quite content. I took a sip. The wine burned. This is it. The night wore on. The evening was a slow burn of old resentments and subtle jabs, but no one suspected what was coming. No one saw the storm gathering behind my eyes. They had no idea who I was. Then came the reading of the will, a formality, I thought. A cruel joke, as it turned out. Every word felt like a slap. The blatant disregard for my contributions, the casual dismissal of my sacrifices, was breathtaking in its audacity. I felt sick. Everything to Mark and Sarah equally. Alyssa is already well taken care of. My father's voice, echoing with a lifetime of subtle manipulation, was the soundtrack to my humiliation. The room swam. Mark grinned, a smug, self-satisfied expression on his face. Sarah dabbed at her eyes with a designer scarf, a crocodile tear clinging to her cheek. My mother patted my hand, a gesture that felt utterly devoid of sincerity. Oh, honey, don't look so upset, Sarah said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. You know we love you, it's just, you don't need it. She emphasized the last word with a nauseating sweetness. My carefully constructed composure threatened to shatter. The years of resentment, the countless sacrifices, the silent suffering, all coalesced into a burning rage. It was time. Actually, I said, my voice calm, even that's where you're wrong. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me, a mixture of curiosity and thinly veiled contempt in their gazes. I stood slowly, deliberately, and reached into my purse. I pulled out a single sheet of paper. A copy of my most recent bank statement. This, I announced, holding it aloft, is a statement from my primary checking account. As you can see, the balance is $3,742,851.22. A collective gasp filled the room. Mark choked on his wine, sputtering and coughing. Sarah's jaw dropped, her perfectly applied lipstick smearing across her chin. My mother's eyes widened in disbelief, her hand flying to her mouth. The silence was deafening. And that, I continued, my voice steady and unwavering, is after I've already funded my retirement accounts, paid off my mortgage, and donated generously to several charities. So no, Sarah, I don't need it, I earned it. Mark stammered, his face turning a mottled shade of red. That's impossible, you're just a design consultant. I smiled, a genuine smile this time, one that radiated not bitterness but triumph. A very successful design consultant, Mark. One who owns her own company, designs award-winning spaces, and has a net worth that far exceeds anything you can imagine. Sarah, recovering slightly, sneered. You're lying, show us proof. Without a word, I pulled out my phone and accessed my online brokerage account. I turned the screen towards them, revealing the seven-figure balance. The room was filled with stunned silence. My mother's voice, barely a whisper, broke the quiet. But how? I shrugged. Hard work, Mom, something you wouldn't understand. The power had shifted. The years of being underestimated, dismissed, and exploited had finally come to an end. I was no longer the family's silent benefactor, I was free. Free, my voice echoed in the sudden quiet. Hardly, more like, emancipated. Mark sputtered, you've been holding out on us. After everything we've done, I leveled him with a gaze that would freeze hell. Done, you laughed then, you're not laughing now. Remember that new boat, Mark. Hope you enjoy it. It's the last thing you'll get from me. Sarah, eyes narrowed, attempted a different tactic. Alyssa, honey, don't be rash. Family is family. Think of Mom. Mom, I turned to her, the question laced with icy disdain. Mom, who told everyone I was doing okay so they wouldn't feel guilty asking for more. The same mom who actively excluded me from the will. Spare me. My mother began to weep, a theatrical display. I just wanted what was best for everyone. Best for everyone else, you mean, I countered, my voice devoid of emotion. You strategically decided that I didn't matter. I paused, letting the statement hang in the air. Well, I matter now. Mark tried a final, desperate play. Think of the opportunities we could create together, a family business. I cut him off with a dismissive wave. My family business is thriving, it doesn't need a handout or leeches. Silence descended, it was deafening, I turned to leave. Wait, Sarah shrieked. What about Mom's medical bills? I paused at the doorway. That's what siblings are for, figure it out. Then with a final, parting shot, I turned back, a ghost of a smile playing on my lips. Consider this my inheritance, the real one. I walked out, leaving them in the dust. The air in Boise was thick with unspoken resentment, a stifling blanket of regret and disbelief. I drove back to the hotel, the silence amplifying the weight of my revelation. The look on their faces as I revealed my wealth was almost worth the years of silent resentment. Almost, back in the hotel, my phone pinged relentlessly. I ignored it, instead opting to review the updated budget for aesthetic spaces. I then realized they had no idea about something else, something far more impactful than a bank balance. A calculated contingency I'd put in motion years ago, precisely for this scenario. The next morning, a courier arrived at my parents' house. A certified letter, return receipt requested. Inside, a single document, a copy of the deed to their house. A small note was attached. Surprise! Years prior, during one of their many financial crises, I had quietly purchased the mortgage on their home. It was a strategic move, a safety net disguised as a lifeline. They were so desperate they hadn't bothered to read the fine print. They thought I was just helping them refinance. The mortgage was now held by a shell corporation I controlled. The terms were simple: continue making the payments and nothing changes, default and I foreclose, a slow burn. My phone exploded again, this time with frantic, hysterical messages. I answered it calmly. Hello, Sarah. Alyssa, what have you done? The letter, the house. Her voice was shrill, bordering on panic. Oh, that, I feigned innocence. Just a little something I arranged a while ago. Consider it a form of collateral. Collateral for what? For years of emotional manipulation, financial exploitation, and blatant disregard for my worth, I replied, my voice cold and detached. The house is leverage, Sarah, a reminder that actions have consequences. You wouldn't, she screamed. You wouldn't take our house. Wouldn't I? I chuckled softly. Test me. The realization dawned on them slowly, painfully. The family home, the symbol of their stability, their security, their entitlement, was now under my control. The tears started flowing. Their house my chess piece. The silence that followed was deafening. I hung up, a sense of cold satisfaction washing over me. The power shift was complete. A year drifted by, marked by strained calls and guilt-ridden texts from my mother. They attempted reconciliation, apologies laced with self-serving justifications. I offered measured responses, acknowledging their words but withholding forgiveness. A visit to their now smaller home. Small talk feigned normalcy, but deep down, resentment simmered. I was in Tokyo then, camera in hand, chasing light through bustling streets. Aesthetic spaces thrived, now with international projects. Catherine and Ruth, my chosen family, offered unwavering support. The cabin in Montana was my sanctuary, a place of quiet reflection. My partner, David, saw me, not a source of funds. Looking back, the guilt still surfaces, a fleeting shadow, but it's quickly banished by the memory of their callous disregard. Now a quiet satisfaction settles, knowing that I chose my path, my worth. In the end, I realized that true wealth lies not in a bank account, but in the freedom to define your own destiny. Ready for your power shift? Ditch the drainers, embrace boundaries. Share this if you felt it. Real success, building your own damn empire.